What is Austrian economics? Explained simply, Austrian economics is a school of thought that emphasizes individual choice, subjective value, and the dynamic nature of the economy. It originated in the late 19th century with economists like Karl Menger, Ludwig von Mises, and later Friedrich Hayek. Austrian economics differs fundamentally from Keynesian and neoclassical economics in both method and core ideas. Subjective value and individual action. At the heart of Austrian economics is the idea that value is subjective. Unlike neoclassical economics, which often uses mathematical models to find equilibrium prices and quantities, Austrians stress that value is determined by individuals' preferences and choices, which vary from person to person and change over time. This means economic phenomena cannot be fully captured by aggregate statistics or mathematical formulas alone. Every economic decision is an act of human action. People use their knowledge, plans, and preferences to make choices to improve their satisfaction. This focus on methodological individualism means that the economy is a complex web of human decisions, not a mechanistic system to be solved like an equation. Time, uncertainty, and the market process. Austrians emphasize that the economy unfolds over time under conditions of uncertainty. People have imperfect knowledge about the future and constantly adjust their plans. This contrasts sharply with neoclassical economics, which often assumes perfect information and static equilibrium, and with Keynesian models that focus on aggregate demand management. Because individuals act based on incomplete and dispersed knowledge, prices in a free market serve a crucial role. They convey information and coordinate decisions. This is why Austrians highlight the price system as a discovery process rather than just a tool for allocation. Capital structure and interest rates. Austrian economists pay special attention to the structure of production, the stages through which goods pass from raw materials to final consumption. They argue that capital goods are heterogeneous and must be understood in a temporal production framework. Interest rates, in their view, reflect time preferences. How much people prefer present consumption over future consumption. This view contrasts with Keynesian models, which treat investment demand primarily as a function of interest rates and aggregate demand, often ignoring the complex temporal structure of production. Critique of central planning and intervention. Austrians are skeptical of government intervention and central planning. They argue that because knowledge is decentralized and dispersed among millions of individuals, no central authority can effectively allocate resources better than the spontaneous order generated by the free market. From this perspective, Keynesian policies that rely on government spending to manage aggregate demand often distort market signals, create malinvestment, and lead to economic cycles. Austrians particularly warn against artificially low interest rates set by central banks, which they believe cause unsustainable booms followed by painful bust. Methodological differences. While Keynesian and neoclassical economics often rely on empirical models, mathematical equations, and aggregate variables, Austrian economics relies heavily on praxeology, the logical study of human action. Austrians argue that economics is a social science rooted in logical deduction from the undeniable fact that humans act purposefully. This leads to a more qualitative, deductive approach rather than empirical modeling, focusing on understanding the meaning behind economic phenomena rather than predicting exact outcomes. Summary: what makes Austrian economics different? Subjective value and individual choice. Value comes from individual preferences, not objective costs. Dynamic, time-dependent process. The economy is a constant process of adjustment under uncertainty, not a static equilibrium. Importance of knowledge and information. Prices coordinate dispersed knowledge. Central planning can't replicate this. Focus on capital structure and time preference. Production takes time, and interest rates reflect consumer preferences over time. Skepticism of government intervention. Interference distorts the market's natural signals and causes cycles. Praxeological method. Economics is derived logically from human action, not just statistical modeling. Austrian economics offers a rich and nuanced understanding of the economy as a human-centered, complex, evolving system, one that requires respecting individual freedom and market processes rather than relying on centralized control.